Howdy, this is Josh. Today I'd like to try something a little bit different and talk off the cuff about the top 10 characters that just inspired me so much growing up, that really moved me, and to this day really inspire me. They're from video games, they're from cartoons, they're from movies. These characters changed my life. They changed my outlook on the world and gave me positivity and all these other really important parts of who I am. And yeah, I thought I'd talk about them today, and completely off the cuff, so this isn't like your standard top list where everything's bam, bam, bam sort of thing. It's quite a bit more slow paced, but I'll just be myself and tell you about these characters, because I think it's interesting, you know, they really mean a lot to me, and you know, I've been wanting to talk about this for a while. So anyway, here are my top 10 characters who really inspired me, my top 10 heroes. Number 10. The English dubbed Goku from Dragon Ball Z and GT. The interesting thing about Goku is that the original Goku I actually didn't like that much. He's a lunkhead. The original Japanese Goku is basically exactly what they portray in Dragon Ball Z Abridged. You know, it's a very accurate portrayal. The English dubbed Goku, though, is very different. The original Japanese Goku is just stupid and generally running on instinct alone. It's just sort of, he does fighting because he likes it. There's not as much of a passion underneath to protect what he believes in. And the thing about the English Goku is that he's a free spirit. He's very aware of who he is. He's been under situations where he's completely outmatched, but he always tries to strive to get better. And like, he always is striving to meet every challenge. And the thing is that the English Goku said one of the best sayings I've ever heard, which was, I'd rather be a brainless beast than a heartless monster. He said that to Frieza during one of their last moments, and I thought, that is really beautiful, and I've remembered it ever since I was 8, because the thing is that I'm a person who prioritizes kindness over intelligence. And we've come to an age now where everyone is cashing in on intelligence. Intelligence equals nihilism nowadays. Not with everyone, but in a certain group of people. And I think that's so sad, because intelligence you're given. You can gain it over a certain amount of time, you know, you can get more intelligence, you can be more knowledgeable, but wisdom, kindness, these are things that you can earn, you can make, and it takes great character, great time, and empathy, and I think it's so much more valuable. Everything, kindness is the most important thing to me, and everything else is secondary, and Goku shows that, because the heart of his character, the English character, is kindness. He knows he's not that bright. He knows that, you know, he's probably going to be outmatched, but each time he falls, he gets up and he's better for it. He feels every time he falls, he'll become stronger. As they say, they're saying the longer they fight, the stronger they become, and that's so beautiful, because I and still am an extreme sort of athlete, and pretty much throughout all my 20s, I've been training great deals, trying to get stronger. But my idea of strength is not muscle building, but running. I'm always trying to get longer runs and marathons and faster times and stuff, and compete against other people. And Goku loves the thrill of it. He just loves the thrill of being challenged. It's not so much about winning or losing, unless his family or friends are on the line. It's more about just the thrill of the fight. But the English Goku is so much better than the Japanese one, in my opinion, because the Japanese one, he's just an idiot. Like, there's nothing interesting about him. But the English Goku is this amazing mixture of an awareness of power, an awareness of limitations, an almost Zen character, a free spirit, and yeah, I just really like him. Number 9. Luke Skywalker. Luke is amazing to me. I've just always found this character so fun, yet he's not fleshed out, I would say, as much as some other characters on this list, but he's just a character that portrays this basic just being himself. He is always himself. he doesn't really care about the Sith or the light side or any of those things. He doesn't care about any of the politics in between of the Star Wars universe. All he seems to care about is just doing the right thing, trying to help his friends. He's, again, kind of a free spirit, a bit like Goku in that way, and I like that he starts his journey to the Force quite old, and generally in the past this has led to problems because they've got to start them very young so they don't grow attachments, so they don't fear losing those attachments, so they fall to the dark side. But Luke just puts all that aside and does the right thing. He finds the in-between. He's actually considered by some to be a grey Jedi because he's not quite the light side, because he's not apathetic to all other attachments. He's human. He brings the human of the Force in that but he's got a little bit of the dark side in him too, because he's worries about his friends and he's got to chase after his friends, and the dark side is that human side of us, that fearing side of us that we all need. And Luke, part of why he's able to, I think he's the one who brings balance to the Force at the time, is because he finds the in-between, the light and the dark side of the Force. There's always a problem on one side. Light side's too apathetic and doesn't get involved with any conflicts, and doesn't express their humanity. Dark side goes way over the top, goes into, and just completely uses the Force to lose their mind over it. And I just love the fact that Luke is like that. And he's calm, he's confident, and he gains this confidence over time. And I just love the character, and I love the final fight in Return of the Jedi, and kind of his push through the conflict, realizing the power of the dark side. It's a simple story, but it's beautiful. Simple in some ways. I'm sure many people would argue otherwise, but yeah. Luke really inspires me. Number 8, Rocky. I think pretty much everyone loves Rocky. Rocky is just the underdog who made it, who was able to pull himself up. And the thing about Sylvester Stallone's performance is, like, the story is actually beautiful. He originally refused tons of money from a whole bunch of different people because he wanted to do it himself. He wanted to be himself and play the role himself. And thank Jeebus he did, because he made such a real character out of it. And, excuse me, you can tell when Stallone plays the role, it's so him. Like, when he plays with his dog and when he goes into the crummy apartment, this feels like his apartment. You can feel the desperation and the shaking of confidence in his mind. He's always asking, is he a bum? Is he worthless? And he's so kind. And I know I say it a lot, but this is an earnest performance. And Rocky is a perfect example of an earnest performance, because you so believe the challenge. And we can all relate to that inner struggle. The original Rocky, I like all the first 3 Rockies a lot. I have no problem with any of them. 4 and 5, I've got mixed opinions on all the rest, but almost every one of the Rocky films inspired me growing up. The strength to... Rocky is just himself, and I think that's the beautiful thing about it, is he's not so much worried about what society thinks of him. He's kind of okay with being a bum, and it's more, people love Rocky because he's a nice person, not because of his status, not because of where he is in life, and because of these things, he gets these things he deserves. He deserves to get a little status, a little good income, that sort of thing, and to get the fight he deserves. And watching his rise to meet these fights is it's so inspiring. I mean, I used to watch some of the Rocky scenes while I was really struggling for a race or something to meet a certain time or something, and I was feeling scared or something. I would just say, well, Rocky can do it, Rocky is just more important about being himself. And yeah, I know that's a bit muddled there, but Rocky inspires me so much, and yeah, I wanted to talk a bit about him. Number 7, Ryo Hazuki from Shenmue. Not many people will probably have heard of this character. It was from an obscure Dreamcast game that was, at the time, one of the most expensive games ever made. An amazing soundtrack. But essentially, as I mentioned, I'm Aspergus, and when I grew up, I think I started playing Shenmue at 13? Younger than that, probably about 12 years old. And the thing is, Ryo basically goes around, running around town, asking people about trying to find out the killer of his father. But what he does, what this has to do with me being Asperger's, is I learned how to actually talk to people through Ryo Hazuki. Like, he would go up to people and go, "Excuse me, can you tell me about people from China? I see. Thanks. Could you tell me more about people from China?" And over time, me just going to each character, apart from me loving the game, going to each character and talking to them and seeing his patterns, I was actually understanding how to talk to people on the street. And so I could go up to a stranger suddenly and go, "Hi, excuse me, could you tell me where this and this is? Could you tell me where the lavatory is? I see. Thank you. Yes, okay." And I love the fact that he was into martial art. I wouldn't have gotten into martial arts if it wasn't for Ryo. I really don't think I would have. It was just so cool to me at the time, seeing Ryo pull off all these amazing moves, the tornado kick, the the pit blow, all these cyclone kick, all these crazy moves, and double blow. And anyway, yeah, I'm ranting, but I learned basically how to speak to strangers through Ryo, and I think that says a lot about the neurological development of people on the autism spectrum and how we can learn. And people inspiring me, me trying to be like other people, was how I basically got through day to day when I was younger. I used to picture life as a video game when I was a kid, And it's a bit like Abed from Community. I should totally add him to the list. I'd love to talk about him as well. And anyway, off on a tangent, Ryo from Shenmue, really cool character. Very determined to reach his goal, which was he would go all the way over to China to look for his father's killer, even though he's probably drastically undertrained to take on this killer guy who, with his deadly martial arts, goes and does it anyway. Talks to random people on the street until he can, goes to duck races until he figures out where his father is, goes to some random place in the middle of the forest, goes to Kowloon, just goes all over the place and does crazy stuff. And yeah, love his determination, love the fact that he taught me how to talk, basically. And he runs everywhere, and I started running everywhere. I really modeled off his character. Even if he didn't really inspire me on a character level, he inspired me in I mimicked him in so many ways. So yeah, love Ryo from Shenmue. Number 6, Astro Boy. I don't know if many people will know this anime. It's a really old one, but Astro Boy is just... He's exactly what the intro of the song used to say, storming high in the sky. He is brave and gentle and wise. He is very gentle in his spirit, he's a very kind person, but also very powerful. And I very rarely see a character who isn't dark and or in some ways demented or strange. I don't know how to fully explain it, but Astro Boy is this beautiful combination of kind and pure, but also wise and incredibly powerful. And he spent most of his life in misery, absolute misery. His father abandoned him. He found out he's basically a hollow clone of his dead son. And then he gets sent off to the circus. And then he gets exploited by that. Then I think it wasn't Dr. Light. Anyway, Dr. Big Nose basically takes him in, and he gets a more reasonable, normal life, and gets kind of a family. Even then, it's not really his family. And he's the ultimate example of saying, I don't care what technically I am, it's all about perception to him. He perceives this as his real family, his robot family that he was given. And there's always a strange underlying context about this thing of robot rights and stuff. But that kind of ties into what is consciousness, what is free will. And I love that because it says all of this is free will. Once you make something sentient, it's real, and that it's an amazing concept. But at the same time, Astro Boy himself, he's always sort of striving to do the right thing and find out what is the right thing, and he's always thinking and turning the wheels in his head. Is this the right thing to do? And he runs into a lot of difficult scenarios, and he's always standing up for others and for the weak, and trying to find that right balance. And this one's a short one, but Astro Boy has just always inspired me on just a character level, in that he's kind, he's pure, in a very dark, drab world, and I think that's really cool. Number 5. Travis Touchdown. I really feel bad about putting this guy on the list. Travis, I love. I can't even fully explain this one. But Travis is basically a psychopath. He's close to a psychopath, a very self-aware psychopath. He basically buys a saber off the internet and goes and starts assassinating people because he's trying to get revenge on a girl that dumped him, and another girl, a woman, kind of manipulates him into this fake assassin association. He starts offing people, and I love the fact that Travis is just himself. It's another of those cases where I'm just like, this is a guy that it doesn't matter where he is, how old he is, whether he has a job or what he's doing, he's just himself. And the character of Travis is so much more interesting than his status or anything like that. You just like his passion. Travis is all about passion. I don't like the fact that he mass murders, obviously, but I love the fact that he kind of gets into a little bit inspired. LiveStrider was a little bit inspired by this, by Travis, because he has that dark side as well and can just tap into it and become this whirl of energy, and I love the concept of that. I think it's really cool, and I love to play with that idea of transformation in my videos. And Travis knows what he's looking for. He knows he is worthless. He knows he is an absolute loser, but he doesn't care. He just wants to do. He doesn't care what society says about him. He just goes out and does it. And I actually think he's really cool in the process because he doesn't give a crap. I love the fact that Travis is okay with being a loser and just doesn't even care. He's completely openly admits he's a dork and goes on and just follows his passions. And I think that is so cool. I love the fact that at the time I was hopeless with people as well when I first saw him, and I love just getting involved in that passion and respecting him for just being passionate. Anyway, yeah, I love Travis Touchdown. Not because he's a killer, but just because he is himself and has that, can dip into that energy that I love to talk about. Number 4. Abe from Abe's Odyssey, and Abe's Exodus, and Munch's Odyssey. Abe is just so cool. I was tempted to put this guy at number 2. He's just inspired me so much. And it seems like such an odd choice, and most people probably haven't even heard of this series by Oddworld Inhabitants. But basically, Abe is a little blue guy who is frail and weak, and everything in the world just wants to kill him. He basically discovers while he was in slavery that the executives are going to turn him into meat and all his buddies, and he goes out and tries to just escape and run. And everywhere he goes, people are trying to kill him. You drop off a ledge, you splat, you're dead. You walk into a mine, you're dead. You get shot by a sling, instantly you're dead. And none of that health bar crap we get nowadays. You get hit by that, you're dead. He even tries to save the wild animals later, and all of them want him dead. And yet he's trying to save them at the same time, and I love that. So he's basically got to run and think about everywhere he goes. And that inspired me so much. I started playing Abe's Odyssey and Abe's Exodus, I think, when I was 7 or 8, and he'll run into a meat grinder, he'll run into lasers, there's so many ways he will die over and over, yet he never stops trying. He never gets terrified or anything like that. he knows he's out of his league. He knows he has no chance of surviving, but he just keeps going, saving his buddies along the way, and eventually he becomes a savior of Mudokons. And then he goes on to Abe's Exodus, where he has to go into Soulstone Brewery and shut that down. And I love the fact that Abe is this combination of understanding the industrial world, but also connecting with the nature side of the world. And so he gets his powers of Shirikul when he goes to when he goes into nature and rescues the animals that were being turned into meat in the industrial world. It is a very strong anti-industrial message, but at the same time, it's just so beautiful in the way it's done and the way he rises to strength and is able to overcome these problems. And all along the way, he is just completely out of his league. I'm going to say most of the way he's pretty terrified, I imagine. But he just sticks through it, pushes through it, says, what the hell, I'm just gonna go, just gonna try it, see what happens, I'm just gonna wing it. Oh, I died, I'll try again. Whoop, I died, I'll try again. And everyone kind of, like the Mudokons, don't even like him. He's not even respected in the community of the Mudokons, and I love that. He doesn't even care that no one gives a rat's about him. Everyone thinks he's a complete dork idiot. No one respects, the Mudokons turn on him all the time. If you don't capture all the Mudokons, they will kill you. It's like everyone wants him dead, even his friends. Yet he never stops trying, and he never stops being a good guy. In Munch's Odyssey, he's helping Munch the whole way. You can tell Munch is kind of green to this whole thing of saving his race, but Abe, you can tell he's done this before. He's just helping Munch along, just doing the right thing by them. Completely confident, completely calm and fine. He meditates, he chants, he has to work through spiritual growth in order to fix a lot of his problems. And I'm sorry, I've probably gone on way too long about Abe, but I just love Abe. He is such an inspiration to me. So yeah, and no one knows about this character probably, but I wanted to talk about him. Number 3. Sonic the Hedgehog. Pardon it not being live action, it's because I actually somehow forgot Sonic on this list up till the last minute, so I've just included him here in an actual recording, and I'll just use footage over the top. Sonic was my childhood. He was such a big part of it. I was a Sega fanboy. I went to Sega World when it first opened up. I had a Master System, I had a Mega Drive, I had all the Sonic games, and he inspired me to run, he inspired me kind of that free spirit, and even though he's a very simple character, I just think he's always just inspired me in who he always portrays to be, which is a little bit like Bugs Bunny, just a free spirit who fights for what he believes in, and I actually like the character of Sonic and how he's kind of stayed relatively consistent over the years in his simple form. Like in Sonic Boom, he's still very much that free spirit, a bit more teen-like, but still clever and free-spirited. So yeah, I just want to quickly say about Sonic is I can't fully justify him saying he's taught me some philosophical lessons. Probably the best thing I've ever heard Sonic say, one of the best quotes, was in Sonic 2006, as bad as a game it was cinematic, and it tried to really capture the essence of Sonic. And what he said to Clarice, the princess he was saving, was, if you have time to worry, you have time to run. And I think that's essentially what I've done with running for a very long time. It's been part of my coping mechanism, and still is, very much so. I had a horrible morning this morning, and I just started running in the forest for an hour, and I came back about an hour and a half. And anyway, I went and ran in the forest, and I came back feeling a lot better and felt like I could face my problems and challenges again. And yeah, Sonic has inspired me, so I wouldn't be a runner today without Sonic. I can still see Sonic streaking along just so freely, and I think, yes, that's how I like to freely run, just loosely and just embracing this is going to sound airy-fairy, but embracing nature, embracing the energy of the universe, just being a part of the moment, and that's what Sonic represents to me, and he is such an important character to me, and I can see Sonic in action, not necessarily what he says, and it will inspire me. In movement, in character, in jumping into challenges, and definitely one of my biggest heroes, and always has been. Number 2, Mr. Rogers. This is probably a bit of a weasel call because I said games, video games, and cartoons, but Mr. Rogers is fairly new to inspire me. He just really, I really grew from him and was really touched by who he was, so I wanted to talk briefly about him. Most people who know Mr. Rogers were touched by him. That's the thing, is that when he comes on the camera, he is just so himself and calm and controlled, and he knows what he's trying to do. He knows he's trying to help people. He's just trying to be a neighbor to these kids and treat them as equals. And I've talked to death about how great he is in Best Kids shows, but I think out of any of the people I've seen, he probably is one of the most biggest ones to inspire me when I try to portray in my channels. And even though, you know, he talks about a lot more positive stuff and I talk about a lot of worthless, I try to always get that person across, that I try to always be me. And I think that's, and to make that a good person, be the person you want to be. And I think that's just so beautiful the way he did it. And you know, I'm subscribed always to his foundation on Twitter because, you know, he's one of those people that I deeply respect, you know, and it's a shame. I wish he was still around today because we could really use him. Yeah, but I'm sorry to end on a kind of a sad note there, but just Mr. Rogers, beautiful, amazing character. Everything he stood for, you know, just the way he inspired so many people, absolutely amazing character. Deeply inspired me and my channel. And my number 1 hero from gaming, movies, and cartoons is Batman, aka Bruce Wayne from the Dark Knight series. This character has inspired me so much. I first saw Batman Begins, I think, when I was 15, and it was exactly what I needed to see. It just... there are so many lines I can quote from that series. It taught me about finding control in morals, having standards. Batman wouldn't ever kill anyone, even if it was technically right. He would always get people trialed. He would always try and protect people. He would, there was a bit of a psychological game going on in there as well, which I loved. And even though a lot of people find The Dark Knight Rises disappointing, there's just so many parts I can quote. Probably one of there are 2 really good quotes from there. One is, Bruce Wayne is on the plane coming back from the ice. He's just been through hell there and says to Alfred, "As a man I can be destroyed, but as a symbol I am incorruptible." And that is just so inspiring to me. I just think, yes, the amount of people you can change through the symbol and what you represent, the small part they can see of who you are. To me, that just makes me tickle. That is just so powerful to me. And other lines that really touched me were like, one that I lived by was, "It's not who you are inside that counts, it's what you do that defines you." And people can interpret that different ways, but to me, I'm just, yes, I've got to do actions, and even if it's scary, boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. And through actions, you can define who you are, and that's what your people will remember. And I like the fact that he does this at a late age. He goes through all these challenges at a late age. He's a late bloomer. He has to go through a ton of problems first, yet still comes out at the end, you know, and becomes Batman, who he was meant to be. And he's always finding that right balance, you know, and some people will call him a terrorist, a vigilante, whatever, but all the way through I was always inspired by his fight to find the right in him, because it's not just about finding the right in Gotham, it's about righting himself. And you know, that he went through this great tragedy as a child, you know, and is still inspired, by lines like his father saying, "Why do we fall? So we can learn to pick ourselves back up." I think Alfred is amazing. I think the people he fights is amazing. You know, the conundrum he has to go through in The Dark Knight when he's fighting the Joker, finding his balance, and eventually the Joker says, "You are incorruptible." And oh, I can't express how beautiful some of the just the way he portrays the character. I'm always inspired by this particular iteration of Batman, because it's just, that was the one that deeply inspired me. And there was a lot of things and a lot of problems that could have been fixed in The Dark Knight Rises. I think it felt like a lot was left out and a lot wasn't said, and there was so much exposition and talk. But there's a reason that Christian Bale, yes, to me Christian Bale is such an amazing actor for Batman, and people make fun of the voice all the time. I'm one of the few who likes the voice. In fact, you've probably heard it before in my performances. I actually think the voice is really fun. I love the fact that he goes all dark in his voice. I think that's so cool. I think it's so fun. And I'm completely alone on that. I've never met anyone else who doesn't think the Batman voice is stupid. But I think it's really cool. And I love his transformation, the way Batman can transform between these two characters. Bruce Wayne who is clearly hiding something, I don't deny that. Christian Bale makes it very obvious that he is Batman, but it's such an amazing character to me. He's finding that balance all the time. He's constantly trying to strive to better himself, to find the balance of what's right for people. He is selfless in his behavior. And I believe, you know, he is as close to incorruptible as people get, and I'm just so inspired by that and who his character is. Definitely my absolute favorite character. Anyway guys, thanks very much for listening. I know this was a long list and I prattled on, but if you've ever been curious of who the people in video games, not in real life, who inspire me the most, this is them. If you'd like to see me do another list like this, if you don't mind me talking off the cuff like this, let me know, because it was lots of fun. I really got to talk about something really deeply important to me here, and that was really cool. Anyway guys, thanks very much for watching. I'll talk to you later.